Bruce, you've achieved international fame with Iron Maiden, but early in your career you were lead singer with one of the new wave of heavy metal bands.
Yes, Samson, yes.
That's right, led by Paul Samson, of course.
That's it.
How did you get to meet Paul? How did it actually come together?
It was in a pub called the Prince of Wales in Gravesend down in Kent, and I was playing with a band called Shots, and we'd been doing pubs and stuff for a while, and we were doing like a mixture of like own stuff and covers, like old Montrose covers, and also some like new material, which was in that sort of vein. And we played these like bizarre. Prince of Wales was a really bizarre place because there was no stage at all. They just moved some tables and chairs out of the way by the doors, by the toilets, and you played bang next door to the ladies and gents toilet. So halfway through the show, some bloke would just walk straight in front of you and go to the loo, or like walk behind the drum kit and
how
what have
inconvenient.
you. Yeah, right. Yes. But your convenience and so on, and like loads of jokes. So we were like playing away, and I had this act which was sort of derived from very primitive ideas about rock theatricals, right? Which was sort of derived from street theatre in a way, and the idea was that you just grabbed people out of the audience and made fun of them and like picked on people and did this huge rap thing, which made people so like shit scared that they were going to get accosted if they went to the toilet, that nobody went to the toilet during your set in case you grabbed hold of them and stuck a mic in their face and interviewed them on stage. So the guy who was Thunderstick turned up to this pub with Paul.
He was the mad drummer.
He was the mad drummer, yes, the man with the bag over his head, as we call him, who later became known as the man with the rapist's mask, which in fact wasn't a rapist mask. It wasn't supposed to be that at all, but unfortunately some silly sod started going around assaulting women wearing like a balaclava, and all of a sudden the press picked up on it,
I see. So that's how that.
That's how all that, it became a sort of thing, and what with one thing and another, people thought, oh, that's a good idea, and it was cheap publicity, and ultimately it was very bad publicity. But so anyway, he was there in his normal everyday guise, and he tried to walk across the stage, so I grabbed hold of him thinking, well, he looks a bit weird. so I did this. I can't remember what I said, but I did a whole like big spiel on it, and the next thing was I got a telephone call like a couple of weeks later from Paul, just completely out of the blue, saying was I interested in joining this band Samson, which had a record deal and it had management and it was going places and it was playing like all these big gigs in London and everything. And I said, oh well, yes, because they didn't have a singer, they were a three-piece.
Was Paul at the gig? He'd seen you.
Yeah, he was with with old Thunders, yes. So he'd seen me with him, and he phoned me up, and so the next stage was I went along to see them. I said, well, look, the only problem I have with that is that I'm taking my degree examination. I was at college at the time doing history. And I said, can you wait for 3 weeks? Well, I've just got to do these exams.
Right.
So they said, yeah, that's all right. So I finished my finals in the morning, and in the afternoon was down at Woodwharf Studios in Greenwich rehearsing with the three of them.
God.
And we wrote almost immediately a pile of songs. And that turned out to be the album called Head On. Right. I mean, I think we wrote it in about a week or something. Because I had loads of stuff kicking around and they had loads of bits kicking around, so we just glued it all together and said, right, that's it. And off we went on tour after that, promoting actually the previous album called Survivors, which was out on Laser.
Right, so you abandoned your other group, did you, Bruce, at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I'd left it. Well, it was a pretty weird setup anyway. It was two brothers, who was a bass player and a drummer, and this Australian guitarist called Tony Lee. And he was sort of a session player, and he was a lot older. I mean, I was like 20 or 21 years old, and he was like almost like 40. I mean, he was a hell of a good guitarist. And he didn't look 40, but he was very much into, like, I need my, 200 quid or whatever it was in those days a week. And without it, I'm going to up skates and go. So I could see things being... There wasn't a tremendous amount on the horizon or anything.
No particular, no great future really.
Not really.
No.
And it was all a bit, it was all a bit strange. They were trying to get me to say that I was insane. Was going to be part of the press angle. They were trying to convince me that I should make myself out to be insane and a genuinely certified nutter.
I see.
And go in and do all this stuff. And I was like, not sure about this. Partly because it might have been close to the truth anyway. I didn't think I needed the certificate.
So, did you see yourself as a heavy metal singer at the time? And was that scene really booming then? We're talking about.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't booming, but I wasn't really interested. I mean, I always thought that there was. I would never ever have played punk stuff, because to me it was like an out of tune horrible noise, most of it.
Right.
The bands I liked from that era were bands like the Stranglers and people like that, who to me were like, Stranglers was just a great rock band.